The next guideline that we're going to be talking about is another one of those one-sentence guidelines that should make for a very short video, but the last one that only had one sentence wound up being 28 minutes, so I make no guarantees. This is an important one, though, and it's one that is an absolute, where is the stray fake hair? That is absolutely non-negotiable. Practice kind candor. For the purposes of this space, this includes no snark, no sarcasm, absolutely no punching down. Now that I've actually read out the guideline, let's talk about it for a moment. No snark, no sarcasm, no punching down. Again, we are new people doing new things in new ways in a new environment to gestate a new world. I know what the culture would have us do. I absolutely know. I know what the culture would have us say to each other, how the culture would have us respond to each other and relate to each other. And before I even say anything else, I blame my sort of middling generation, kind of late baby boomer, early Gen X, for that, starting in the early 80s with the John Hughes movies, where everybody was too cool for school. Everybody had a quit. Everybody was too cool to be earnest. Everybody thought that sarcasm was the way to go, and conflated sarcasm and cleverness with intelligence and savviness. I'd like to bring this hand back, if we could. There is something to be said. I know, I could pause it now that I'm not doing lives. I could actually pause it, but you guys know me, dry mouth, gotta take a drink. So, at the end of the day, when we're talking about all of this stuff, we're talking about a cultural phenomenon that's no longer a phenomenon. It's now normative. Everybody has this kind of tone nowadays. I hear it in clerks and receptionists. No one wants to show that they actually give a damn anymore. So we all hide. We all hide beneath sarcasm and snark and irony. I love you. I honor you. What about I love you? I honor you, and I'm walking with you. There is deep pathology and pain around the last 30 or 40 years of how we have all learned how to relate to each other. The 60s were full of this unbridled but rather unfocused idealism and optimism, and everybody was wide-eyed, and not only because of the amphetamines. Then the 70s came, and it was all surface. Disco balls, glitter, and everybody was just keeping on trucking. Then the 80s came, and now everybody was living in an MTV video. That's problematic. It is really hard to connect when everybody around you is using air quotes. Everybody is trying to one-up. Everybody wants to be considered smart, but they don't want to do the work to have true intellectual and spiritual depth. People have mistaken being ironic and detached and even dissociated for being emotionally mature. That is not true. There is nothing more than I love when I am going into a situation and I see a young person, and for me nowadays, young is anybody under, I almost said 30, forget it, anybody under 40. And they give me their absolute best. I was at Albertsons, our Albertsons. It's a good Albertsons. Although they're making it smaller, I'm going to miss it. I'm going to wind up going to the College Avenue Vons. But at Albertsons, there's this one girl, and I don't know how she does it. I don't know how she does it. The other clerks are nice enough. If I get in their line, it's not a bad experience. Thank you, and I say thank you, and that these days I wait for eye contact, because that's another thing we don't get anymore. Eye to eye. Eye to eye. They're already looking at the next thing they're going to be checking through as they're handing me my receipt and telling me, have a good day. Thank you. You have a good day too. Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. And I don't move until they look at me, even with my mask, and they see that I'm looking at them. And we will connect. We will connect, damn it. But then there's this girl I don't have to do that for. Every single time I come into her line, it is like I am the best thing that ever happened to her all day. And I used to just think it was because I was an awesome person. And then I actually went over by where don't ask me why. There's this kiosk with CDs. Who's using them? Who is buying them? I don't know. But anyway, there's a kiosk with CDs, DVDs. And I watched her. And she was able to give that energy to at least 3 or 4 people before I finally went to the truck, because I had ice cream. Gotta have priorities. But for the 2-minute or 3-minute or 5-minute transaction, they were the only people in her world. And I know kind of what it looks like when the seams are showing, right? Like when people are kind of, have a nice day. That wasn't her. That wasn't her. It really felt like it was coming from a deep and authentic place, that she was genuinely glad to see you, that she really did hope the double stuffed Oreos were going to be great. Tell me about them. I love that. If she were here at Les Sunrays, she would be my muse. She was enthusiastic about everything. And I think that is what we need to bring to this space. Some of us are natural Labradors, like this girl, natural chocolate lab. Some of us are more like Eeyores. And I'm not saying that you have to be anybody that you're not. But I am asking that you bring your best self. Even Eeyore, when Eeyore was like, and then someone would say something nice to him and he'd do this. I'm not asking you to be effusive if that's not your style. But meanness is not a style. A lot of times people will talk about that with snark or sarcasm or punching down. That's just the way I am. You're just going to have to live with who I am. Actually, no, I don't. No, I don't. I mean, I'll do it minimally. I mean, if I have to work with you in the next cubicle, which I don't anymore. If I have to work with you in the next cubicle, yeah, I'll put up with it for 8 hours. But no, I don't want to have happy hour with you. No, you are not a person I want to emulate. And that is what I'm actually asking of all of us, that we in this space be people worthy of emulation. That does not mean that everything you say has to have pearls of wisdom dropping from your every paragraph, but it does mean that people know that you are not going to harm them. Mask on. Mask on. So no snark. It really undermines community. When people all know, when everybody is holding a knife, everybody's on edge. No sarcasm. No humiliation. No punching down. I want to say a little bit about that too. People kind of go, but aren't we supposed to confront systems and institutions and bad actors? Absolutely. That's not punching down. That's punching up or across. Boom. Even then, there are ways to engage that are more effective and ways that are less effective. We have to ask ourselves, who are we commenting for? Who is our audience? What are we trying to get across? How much of ourselves are we revealing? And if our North Star is activated every time we come into this space. What's the North Star? Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. To lessen and mitigate the harm endured by Black and brown people, perpetuated by white people and white supremacy. If that is our North Star, we are going to metaphorically take off our shoes before we come into this living room, right? Again, not asking for soliloquies. I'm not asking for you to be, who are some of my favorite authors? Maya Angelou or Sue Johnson or Barack Obama or Michelle Obama, because she's got a book. I'm asking you to bring the best of you. I'm asking that everyone that you come in contact here with is a little bit better because you were here, and you will not do that with snark or sarcasm or punching down. You will do that with hesed. That does not mean that we cannot be kind with our candor. And I want to talk about that a little bit too. You can say anything to anyone, but you just can't say it any old way. You can't say it in a way that takes away their humanity, that takes away their dignity. If the only way you can say something is to punch down, don't say it. Get curious. Find another way to say it. There's a group that I am in for people in nonprofits. We share best practices, yada, 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 yada. And there was a question that came up about mentorship. And this girl wanted a mentor, but she said up front, don't want to pay for it, but I want you to be my mentor. And everyone was talking about it. And I, of course, was the contrarian and said, I'm not sure that's a great idea. Put some skin in the game. Even if you're not giving them a check, you make sure you're the one that pays for coffee. You're the one that makes sure that you pick up the dinner check. You honor the person who is pouring into your life and that you are extracting knowledge and information from. Well, there was a woman who didn't like what I said. And at first, she was a little backdoor snarky, but it was a good conversation, so I went with it. And then finally, you must not know very much about mentorship. I hope that you have a nice life, and I hope that you become happy one day. So I called her on it. I made the covert overt, and I said exactly what was going on, from the passive aggressiveness to the idea that she thought that she was going to shut me down by attempting to humiliate me. So she did one more pass and she was gone. And I also said that basically anybody who was looking at her as a potential mentee now knows her character. See, here's the thing. Eventually you do get known. It may be one sub-thread exchange. Could take a month, could take a couple of years. But eventually you will be known. And you're going to be the one that does the tell. What are you telling your fellow walkers here? How are you revealing yourself? How are you showing up here? No snark, no sarcasm, no punching down. Take off your shoes. I love you.